We just watched The Bride 2026 yesterday. Last night, we're recording it the next morning. This is our spoiler-free review, and then we'll give you a warning about 10 minutes in for spoilers, so you're safe for now. We're going to say, hey, should you watch it? What's it about? Why is it so polarizing? Because if you see some reviews in the space, I took a quick flash. Some people hate it. Some people love it. We'll let you know what the movie's about and what we think.
Yeah. I understand the polarization to some degree.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like, cutting right to the chase, it's a pretty movie. It's just, I think it lacks a lot of substance. So I think it's a very flawed movie. It looks nice, but I don't feel like there's much beneath the surface.
I hear you. This is directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal, and actually, so Jake Gyllenhaal's actually in the movie, but the two main actors and actresses are Jessie Buckley and Christian Bale. So we got Christian Bale's back, and Jessie Buckley, who was in Hamnet. She was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And if anything, this movie has some great performances. Who do you think shined the most, The Bride or Frankenstein?
Okay, I was walking into this going, okay, is this going to be another Christian Bale movie of he just outacts everyone around him and just like steals every scene he's in? In this movie, he's good. He does a really good job.
Yeah.
But no, it's Jessie Buckley acts her fucking socks off.
Oh, yeah.
It is her movie. She upstages Christian Bale. That's a hard feat to do. She did an amazing job. Mm-hmm. That is the best thing I could say about this movie is Jessie Buckley did amazing.
And The Bride, the first Bride of Frankenstein movie came out in 1935. And so this is a modern twist version on The Bride of Frankenstein in the modern day that the director and writer Maggie Gyllenhaal does. And it's ambitious. It's a way to put it. How would you pitch the movie? What's it about? Spoiler free for somebody who hadn't seen The Bride of Frankenstein that's curious. What is this? And what kind of direction does the modern take do to it?
It's Joker and Harley Quinn, but better.
Oh, have you seen Joker and Harley Quinn?
No.
Oh, you're just assuming.
That's the best part. I can say that opinion be completely true and have not seen the movie.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be honest that that's exactly it. It's Bonnie. It's a dead version of Bonnie and Clyde, and I would say it's pretty performative feminism version of Bonnie and Clyde and The Bride of Frankenstein. Because the whole difference of, hey, the original movie, The Bride of Frankenstein, she doesn't even have a name. What's her name? It's just The Bride of Frankenstein. She's an object. This movie, it's The Bride. She doesn't belong. That is the message and point. I don't think it does that well at all.
The movie starts off with the bride here. We have Jessie Buckley's character. It dies in the real world and is brought back to life by Frankenstein and Dr. Euphor. I'll double check the name on there. What's the doctor's name in these? That
doesn't matter.
Brought back by the doctor. And because Frankenstein's lonely and wants a partner. And so we get this monologue at the very beginning of the movie from Jessie Buckley, from the author of Frankenstein. The author of Frankenstein is saying, hey, I'm going to tell you a tale that is not just horror, not just a monster story. It's not about Frankenstein, but one of the most grueling tales you can tell, which is a love story. And so it's this story of Frankenstein trying to avoid loneliness, but at the same time, who is the bride and what's her identity when it comes to her space? Because what did Shelley, the author of Frankenstein, really want to say in the book? Because the monologue at the beginning of the movie, she's saying how Frankenstein was a story she wrote, but the story she really wanted to tell was this.
Yeah.
And so now we're following. You gave the example of Joker 2. I would say, yeah, I haven't seen Joker 2. I assume it's a slightly better Joker 2, but it's also a much worse Poor Things. If you want this movie done extremely well, Poor Things is a Frankenstein-esque subversion that takes also the same kind of themes and actually does them in a way that is provocative and interesting.
It actually
So
commits.
it commits to it, and it doesn't just have the inklings of a theme, but it's not redundant as well. It plays with them. It makes you think differently scene to scene. This one, it knows what it's doing from the very beginning, and it doesn't stray, but also it's redundant and then doesn't say as much as it's proposing to, is how I'd put it. It's kind of performative in a way. It's just, it's there. It's the fluff. That's what the movie gives me a lot. And that's not to say I didn't even have a bad time, because it was stylistically cool enough for me.
Yeah.
It had, so the Joker references you'll get is because there's this really is not a spoiler. There's a dance scene, right? So just to give you the vibe of it, there's different tones throughout the movie that's kind of jarring, and so it's got a fun, weird vibe to it that had me. While I was sitting down, I was asking myself the question, am I having fun? Which, hey, that's not the best question to ask while watching a movie, but at least I didn't know I wasn't having fun. Does that make sense?
The answer no was not like just roaring to get out of
It
your
was
mouth.
not. No, for me. And then what did you say when we left the movie theater? You said a word, was it beautiful nonsense? Was that how you put it?
Or pretty nonsense.
Pretty nonsense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
I could get behind that.
yeah. That does kind of sum up my thoughts on the movie.
That makes sense. I mean, the online thoughts, we have a 62% critic score right now. It's too early to get the audience score at the moment. It's a 3.1 out of 5 on Letterboxd. Polarizing reviews. You'll see on Roger Ebert, some people giving it higher reviews, others very low. It's going to be, I think it's a very hard movie to be exactly middling on, of like, oh, it was decent. I don't hear a lot of people going, oh,
well,
pretty good.
Yeah, that's fair. It is just as stylistically bold enough that I think a lot of people will really like this. It's just anything beneath the surface, like, come on. Like this idea has been done better in like your example of Poor Things, but really just name any other movie.
The Bride of Frankenstein, probably 1935. You know.
Yeah, I mean, to some degree it is.
Yeah.
I know many people probably disagree with that, but it does deal with identity and things like that. But
I'd be curious to why I haven't seen it, the original. So
You should.
I'd enjoy going. I'd want to see that. Bless you. I definitely want to see that. But anything else you'd say about the movie of who should go watch this, and maybe who shouldn't?
Honestly, watch for it on streaming. I wouldn't go see it in the actual theater. But if you want to have a fun visual time, cool to put on.
Yeah.
Or, great background movie.
So what does that mean? What'd you give it out of 5 stars for your Rambler rating?
2.0.
Flawed.
So, flawed.
Yep.
It's a flawed movie.
I give it 2.25. Really disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that range. Now, here's our breakdown of our categories down below. My lowest was actually the thought-provoking nature of the movie. There were some others that were low too, such as plot and characters, but my highest was the dialogue/acting and emphasis on the acting, because I think the performances were so great. But yeah, I'll leave it at that.
I'm in the same boat as you, of lowest being thought-provoking and plot, with highest being, the filmmaking.
Yeah, there's something about the plot threads we can get into. Spoiler warning coming soon, but there's subplots that just feel unnecessary and are kind of boring. So
I think actively take away from the movie too.
Yeah. Yep. So let's get into that. Spoiler warning now. This is your chance. Bride 2026. If you don't care about spoilers, if you want to go see it, come back to this and listen on. Spoiler warning. All right.
Plot summary.
Quick summary recap of the movie.
All right.
Rapid fire.
So Jessie Buckley's character is somewhat unnamed. She is actually named Irene, but she is...
Or Ida.
Ida, yes. Correct. Thank you. Her name is Ida. She is... she's one of the ladies of the night, call girl. What is the right word is...
What are you looking for?
It's not prostitute. It's something else. It's like...
Okay.
girl that anyway, she's one of the gals that she's working kinda for the mob, and mob boss has killed a bunch of ladies, cut out their tongue, wink wink, nudge nudge, taking women's voices. We get it. Understand. We'll move on. Anyway, she's yapping her mouth a little too much. Mary Shelley, the actual author, is crawling into her mind and making her say a bunch of stuff, which ultimately ends up getting her killed. She dies. And then we see Frankenstein. Frankenstein goes to the doctor. I'm very lonely. I've been lonely for 100 years. I'm a monster. Please make me a bride. She's like, I'm a crazy doctor. No. But when you put it that way, yes. So she does. They dig up this body, which, the mob killed her. And then she comes alive. They lie to her, say like, oh yeah, you were always together, but you had this accident. So lie keeps going. She is a little crazy in the sense of, Mary Shelley's personality, her original personality, kind of mixing and melding, and she doesn't know who she is. And ultimately they are on the run because she is being assaulted, these two men trying to rape her. Frankenstein, Frankie boy, Frankenstein's monster adopts his father's name. So he calls himself Frankenstein.
It is, yep, he is Frankenstein.
Yep. Wanted that clarification.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he kills the attempted rapist. They're off. They're running. Detectives are on their chase. The male detective is not even really a detective. He's like the front man. And then his secretary is the real detective. But because of gender norms, they have to pretend to be opposite roles, basically. Anyway, they're on the run. Jessie Buckley's character's like, who am I? Did you lie to me? And she is kind of falling in love with Frankenstein, but then realizes that everything's been a lie, mainly because she used to hate oysters. Frankenstein says like, oh yes, after we got married, we ate oysters and you loved it. And she's like, no, that ain't true. I actually hate oysters.
And that was a scene earlier we saw where she died because she was eating the oyster with all the mob people who, by the way, are now hunting her because they know she's alive.
Yep.
So you have detectives hunting her and mob hunting her, and the cops who are trying to catch Frankenstein because he smashed people's heads in after they attempted to rape the bride.
Yeah, and ultimately they're all following this. They're going across the country in the sense of Bonnie and Clyde-esque. They're killing people, kind of all the cops and everyone that kind of tries to stop them along the way, because Frankenstein's obsessed with this actor who's this dancer, singer, and all this. And so they're going to famous locations from this guy's movies and things that are significant to the movies. That's how the detectives are able to find him.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, she finds out Frankenstein lied to me. Hey, I was a corpse. I was never married to, we never knew each other. But she ultimately falls in love with him anyway. And then Frankenstein is killed by the mob. The mobster misses her, shoots Frankenstein. She's like, no, takes him back to the doctor. Doctor's like, no, we can't do anything. But when you put it that way, and then, basically the mob, police, everyone shows up. They shoot the bride of Frankenstein as she decided her name. It's not Ida, right?
Ida was one of her names. He called her Penelope.
Uh-huh. No, none of that. It's actually the bride. Not the bride of Frankenstein. The bride. She's no one's, but she's the bride. Whatever. Then she shot up. They're just, full of bullet holes. And then the doctor's like, and then they revive her.
The detective, the lady detective who was with the guys, now gets the badge because he gives it to her. And she tells all the cops to leave the room and says wink, wink as she's leaving to the doctor of, hey, take as long as you need, as she walks out, because the doctor then alone with the bride and Frankenstein revives them both. You see their hands twitching and they hold hands. That scene. And so want to get into our review now.
Let's get into it.
Emotional impact. What'd you give it?
2.5.
Nice. So you're disappointed on that front. I gave it a 3 neutral. which reflects my very much, am I having fun? I think no, I'm not. Yeah, a little bit. No, it was a little bit of that throughout the movie for me. It was a bit of
Yeah.
bounce.
To me, maybe this is unfair, but I thought it was so pretty that I was disappointed that it wasn't more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see that.
I'm looking like, this is a really pretty picture. I am disappointed.
I like how you're
that this is
using
not
correct usage of the term for the times. It's a pretty picture, is what they would say in the movie.
Yeah, it is real nifty, really. Yeah, but yeah. So that I had also several scenes where I'm going, am I having fun?
Yeah,
I think so. Am I? I don't know.
What tone and feeling do you think it's trying to evoke? That was part of the confusion for me sometimes.
Yeah. I guess it is mostly going for tension. Like, for the most part. In most of the scenes with, like, things will be happening and they'll be building. And especially Jessie Buckley's character, the bride, is, she's going crazy. Mary Shelley's just, having a fun time in her head, which is causing, and when her and Frankenstein are doing something, it's normally with the tension being built that, oh, they're doing something that's going to alert the cops. And so you're like, oh, what's going to happen next? Like, they're causing this whole scene, like the dance scene of where Frankenstein and the bride are dancing, which great dance scene, looked awesome, probably my favorite scene in the movie. And that's building of like, they were just outrunning the cops. This is going to cause a commotion. It, like, you feel something's coming. So I think it's going for just anxiety and tension.
Yeah, I could see that. I think with that dance scene, or where you have some of the typical tropes you see of the guy and gal cop chasing, and you have a lot of the chasing plots happening that we discussed in the summary real quick of how many people are chasing them. I felt like you're getting a little bit of that thrill, a little bit. It's not focused on detective mystery because they're just literally going location to location of where's the movie theater. But I had a tough time while watching it determining, are they going in this scene for a more campy feel, or are they going for, take this very seriously? It seemed like it was juggling with that a little bit of the dance scene of, it's got that campiness to it, but it's also supposed to be a very intense scene because you've got you've got the author Frankenstein trying to impose through the bride this moment of realization of making this speech to everybody, and that's the Viva la Revolution moment where people start to follow the bride and her push back against this society and this oppression. So it's supposed to do that, but at the same time, it's like a wacky, campy feel. So I'm throughout the movie, I didn't know. I had a tough time going, oh, is this scene right here? This one's meant to this scene is meant to be more whimsy, or this one is meant to be very serious. And maybe some of that is because the performances are so intense and it's like the subject matter's taken very seriously. But maybe I'm just too focusing too much on the dance sequence, or because I guess there's some more of that of when they're on the run and they're having sex everywhere, and it's just like it's Frankenstein and the bride, and you see the bumbling between the two of them. It mixed a lot of that, and like, for example, take this scene. How would you rate this scene on a scale from campy to very serious, right? Of when we have the Frankenstein and the bride, but while they're dancing in the before the kicking the guy's head in and killing them in the very serious scenes there, but while they're getting introduced to one another and he's kind of falling in love with her and having this, oh my goodness, this guy's great, and when she's changing her emotions throughout being possessed, I guess is the right word, of possessed and then also not, do you think that the movie's trying to make you laugh, think it's funny, or think it's like strange, mysterious? What do you think it's going for with her volatile personality changes?
I think it's supposed to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
But then it's kind of goofy when it goes into the surreal moments, especially of basically when it's her perspective, it's taken seriously. When it's through Frankenstein's perspective, often he'll basically kind of be daydreaming and he'll project what he thinks it thinks it's a movie, and so him and her dancing is the more surreal, less serious, like more campy feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's more that in Frankenstein's head, but it's very serious in her head. Or especially maybe that's why it's so tonally different, because when she's trying to impose this rage and feeling through the bride, it's taking it very seriously. It's looking at this cop who's trying to assault you on the car, or it's like look at these problems that are happening in front of you. Feel that rage. But then you have Frankenstein's head, who's just, this is a movie. This is his romance.
Yeah.
And then you have from her own perspective just confusion.
Yeah.
So that could be why it juggles a lot. Maybe is that where the style you think is coming from, of that feeling from the movie is just what kind of style did you feel? How would you describe it?
From Frankenstein, it's surreal. From her, it's a serious, you know, it's supposed to be a serious drama from her perspective.
Mhm.
From Frankenstein, it's less so.
Sure.
I mean, that's ultimately it. But you wanted to add, there was another little thing of her trying to start a revolution, and by the end, it does, because women are painting themselves like the Bride of Frankenstein, and then taking down the mob.
Mhm.
Very much Joker-esque,
Mhm.
of like the Joker kills someone once, and then everyone's like, let's do that too.
Yeah.
Revolution. Yeah. So
Yeah.
also similar.
Part two, what did you think about the caricature of men in the movie?
Yeah, it's a little yeah. No, I mean there's not a good one to be seen in the whole movie, but I guess it's fine. I'll be the one thing that kind of like irks me is the Bride and Frankenstein kill several people, and it feels like the movie just uses um sexual assault as like the go-to, like, it's okay, they killed someone. Like that was like that's all they could come up with, and it basically takes away any of the like, should they not have done this? It takes away the moral ambiguity of it, and it feels like the cheap, easy way to like, look, it's okay, we can be on Frankenstein's side. Like, see, those guys, they try to assault her, and then like, okay, great, they're killed, and then happens again with the cop, and it's like, okay, well, then we're not. The
Mhm.
one, there's two different kills where she is more like, this is ambiguous. Was it the right thing to do? Is like the first one being
The
when they're
dance scene,
initially
right?
on the run, she pushes the cop out of the train, and he
Mm.
dies.
Oh yeah.
And so there's that one. And she's like, "Oh, what did I do? I don't know if I really want to do this. I didn't want to kill him." And then there's the cop during the dance scene where, you know, he clearly was surprised, but also you're pointing a gun at everyone. Like, he's the most in the right of all the people dead. It's like you're pointing a gun at everyone, and the cop is like, put down the gun, and then you shoot him. That's on you. That's not his fault.
Yeah.
But
That's also why I didn't know how serious, or that I guess this is what I mean by campy as well. The dance scene, obviously, but the incompetence and the caricatures of the cops or other characters of allowing Frankenstein and the Bride being allowed to run for as long as they did because of the clear incompetence of the world building here. Because you have in the scene where she's holding she has a gun, and you have hundreds of cops pointing the gun at her and surrounding the perimeter. There's no story where they get out of that. And realistically, there's no way. And especially when she's pointing the gun randomly, and there is the time to shoot when that is the time to shoot her. And there's a lot of those times where the detectives are just going, don't shoot, and sometimes they listen to her, or sometimes they don't. At the end, they obviously don't. But I didn't know how to take some of that stuff where, hey, when them getting on the run and leaning into the zaniness of her, it almost feels like I think the tone of the movie is set from the author of Frankenstein at the very beginning, kind of acting crazy and saying this is telling this tale through the bride of sometimes it felt like this was fairyland, like exaggerated caricatures,
Well,
and then
just
other times
that setting alone is very zany and weird and can almost be unnecessary.
Mhm.
It works, I guess,
Sure.
but that is very fourth wall breaky of
Mhm.
like Frankenstein is like the author is real and the monster is also real and say like yeah, so
Yeah.
odd.
A big mix. Sorry for rambling on that for a while. Did you want to go on to thought provokingness?
Yeah.
What'd you give that out of 5?
1.75, very flawed.
Give it 1.5. Bad.
Yeah.
This was rough. This was my lowest category for the movie.
Yeah. You may convince me to lower that 0.25.
Yeah, hey.
It would be very easy for me to lower it.
You might convince me to lower my overall down 0.25. Yeah, so themes. Big one is this feminism.
It is that she don't need no man, but
Mhm.
also somewhat yes. Not really. Like it kind of says that. Like it says that on the surface. But does it actually demonstrate that in any significant way? No. There's not really much of a character journey for her on that front.
Yeah, it's a lot to do with the execution of this because, of course, hey, if you want this similar theme done extremely well, it's Poor Things. Go watch Poor Things. But this one, yeah. So very early on, we see the direction of it with the bride, and also it's a very modern take on the bride. I haven't seen the 1935 version. However, with this, I imagine it dials up some of the aspects to it. The way I would put it is the movie feels like it's saying a lot, but it says a very simple thing, and it's very not unconvincing. It's just very. It feels very flat and dry. Like you did not need that much attempted substance for the very simple take this goes and simple direction, and also because it's the sexual assault scenes you brought up, for example, or things like that, because it's so clear cut and hey, the cutting tongues out, that the mobsters literally cutting and getting rid of the female voices.
Yeah. Like
all of that.
Did you wink wink? Did you get that message? He's cutting out the women's tongues because he's taking their voice. Oppression of the patriarch. Yeah, I get it. I understand.
Another thing that encapsulates this is the budding cops. So you have the male cop, the female cop, and so they're going around. And as she's becoming the detective now, and she's going to find out, oh, where is Frankenstein? And all the cops are asking the guy, oh, where is Frankenstein in this town? She's trying to jump in, and they don't let her. And she goes and asks the woman's secretary instead, oh, where's Frankenstein? Another one showing obviously this is a time too where a woman in the workforce and all of this is 1935 Chicago we're talking about, in New York. So you're talking about the time where women, hey, female detective was a strange thing back then,
and to be fair, movies, like, it is supposed to be campy and movies are dialed up to 11, and so it's the exaggerated take.
Yep.
Like are all the detectives, like, is it trying to say like all detectives are like all the males in society are that much of an idiot? No, it's just this is a movie. I get it, but it just kind of beats you over the head with it and doesn't really add much of a story to it. It says it and then moves on, but doesn't really go any further than that. At least for the like take your detective, her story, her arc. There's nothing. She has no development. She has no things to overcome. So her, like, the message is she is subverting expectations and subverting the patriarchy. She is at the beginning and she is at the end. Like, there's not much of a change. She doesn't have to grow, develop as a person. Like, wouldn't that be better to have a character that grows and learns that lesson throughout the movie? This just is. Same thing with the bride. Of if you want to have this whole thing of, hey, it spends so much time from the very beginning of like, oh, what's her name? What's her name? Like, she's going to define her own name, develop her own identity, separate from Frankenstein. She is not the property. She is her own woman. Where is that in the movie? Like, they say that, but where is that demonstrated? How is that shown in her character arc?
Maybe in that moment where she says,
Nowhere.
when he proposes, she says, I would prefer not to, you know?
Yeah, but
And-
then she also is like, yeah, no, I still love you, but like, again, it says it, but doesn't actually do anything.
It says the things you're supposed to.
Exactly.
The movie goes obvious, and kind of that point about the assault scenes of, hey, it's so obvious, sexual assault, bad. I don't feel remorse when the sexual assault dude's getting killed, which makes the stuff simple of, hey, oppression, it's bad.
Yeah.
Got it. But that's it. That's all it seems to say. And also the way it says it, the way it executes, because you can get really interesting with a message by throwing different obstacles in the way of, like, what a great thing that Poor Things does is brings a lot of different philosophies and a lot of different, I don't want to spoil the movie, but it just brings a lot of, yeah, I'll keep it at that. It brings a lot of different philosophies and lets the character experience the world in many different ways. In this, the world is one way. She reacts in one way, or at least by the end, and that is it. It's just very flat and boring to think about. That's where I give it bad too, because it's going for something profound, and it's really saying nothing of interest to me. And it doesn't add any value at all. Oh, did you bring it down a little bit?
Going down to 1.5. Yes.
Okay. But yeah, I think because I'm trying. What else does the movie say too? Because let's think for a little bit. Maybe are we looking at the A message, the top message, and not thinking about some of the substance underneath?
Well, I mean, I guess the substance underneath probably has to do more with the romance, really?
Frankenstein's loneliness.
Frankenstein's loneliness and their budding romance.
Yeah.
Of which it's hard to take their romance particularly seriously. Like, it's very evident that they're both crazy in different ways, and so it's out of a little lonely. There's a moment of like, I'm a monster, like that's all I am, and she's like, well, I am too, and like, so she's going, we're the only two monsters. Beggars can't be choosers. So there's that kind of moment, but
Sure.
like, I guess they fall in love. Like, hey, Frankenstein protects her from the sexual assault. That's good. He seems to actually care about her opinion once in a while of, other than, he literally made her. And so it was like, my bride. But subsequently later, he's like, hey, what do you want to do? And that was the whole big thing of why they kept repeating, like, I would prefer not to. Of, characters ask like, do you want to do this? Do you want to do this? Like, we're going to go do this. And then finally it gets to ask the question of, what do you want to do? And it's just like, finally you asked me what I want to do. And then
I would prefer not to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's saying. I think that's a part
what
of,
is it saying about love, really?
weirdly enough, too. So with Frankenstein, he's lying to her so that he can solve this loneliness. He has this idealized version of what a romance is because he's watching these movies he loves and projecting that into his life, right? So we get a bit of that. And again, I think that's in a way saying, hey, this is what men want out of you, right? This is the either not your opinion or will lie to get what they want. Maybe that's a part of the message or what this is exploring. And what the weird thing is, I guess the romance in the end where they end up coming back and it's the bride and her and they are together in the end. And it's that thing that's just unconvincing or weird because I'm going, what is the movie? What's the end? What's the end? What do they do in fencing? What's the thing? A parry or something. A lunge, yeah. No, parry's that, but like an end. What is it? Like a
is it starts with an R?
Yeah, something like that.
Like riposte or something like that.
That sounds good, actually. Yeah, something like that. But what's the end stabby stab that it's saying?
The end point.
Yeah, there you go. What is it? Because they are together, so she's going to be the bride, but also fight the power, but also it kind of works with them, and I'm just left with, okay, yeah. A bit of the romance confuses it a little bit.
Yeah,
Does it for you? Am I missing something?
kinda. I mean, well, yeah, the romance kind of goes really, I think, against the whole feminist message. It doesn't have to be. Like you can do both, but the way this is done is sloppy at best, especially because of. I really don't see how they could do the whole, hey, she is her own woman. She is not the bride of Frankenstein. She's just the bride, which dumb, like dumb name, dumb choice, but whatever, fine. She is just the bride. She's no one's bride. She's the bride.
But also,
And-
she is the bride of Frankenstein.
But then she chooses to be the bride of Frankenstein, kind of enough, I guess. Like they're together. Point stands. So
again, it feels like it says it. So the movie says she is the bride, right? It tells you she's the bride, not the bride of Frankenstein. But from everything we see, she says, sure, I prefer not to, but then also loves him in the end and kind of basically is the bride of Frankenstein.
yeah. So
It's like
I would have preferred just go full tilt.
go against Frankenstein. Do something. Something happens there, but the movie doesn't commit to the bit either.
Yeah,
it's this weird mixed messaging between. Yeah, okay, yeah, that is what it is. It's saying something and showing.
It's not doing
what it's telling you and showing you is conflicting.
It's not doing enough to actually demonstrate the message it is telling you.
Yeah,
that's my bigger issue.
Yeah, I'm gonna lower my overall rating of the movie to a 2.
Yeah,
and then this one to a 1.25 or something. It's very confused.
Mm-hmm.
Very confused. Yeah. Huh. Well, next category.
Yeah.
All right, want to go over characters. So what'd you give that out of 5 stars?
Give it 2.0. Flawed.
I also gave it 2.0. Flawed. We could start with Frankenstein and the bride, and then go from there.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I think Frankenstein overall is the most coherent as a character.
Oh, I agree with that. Yeah.
That character is the most solidified, makes the most sense. Like, I understand that character. Now, obviously, it's Frankenstein. It's existing character. All this is like, got it. We know it. The bride is less so understanding. But it is meant to be a little confusing. So it's kind of the point. But
start with Frankenstein. Yeah. As you all feel bad for him in those scenes where he meets his hero on movies, and I felt bad in that moment.
Yeah,
it got me.
Frankenstein is good. I like that you see the duality of him. Of he's been alive for 100 years, and he is lonely. He's incredibly lonely, and you see why. And ultimately, him like, please build me a bride. Like. Build me woman to have companion. On one level, you go, ooh, patriarchy, like take away woman's choice, fine. But also, what other option does he have? Like on a practical speaking, like, yeah. Like, and the doctor's like, is it just about sex? He's like, no, everyone's horrified of me. I have no companionship. Like, yeah. Fair enough, Frankenstein. 100 years of loneliness. You're like, well, the only person that could maybe love me is someone like me, a monster. I get it.
There could have been an interesting discussion about that consent too. Of can you consent to be revived, and then how's that all work too? I don't know. But with Frankenstein, his flaws are that he's insecure, but rightfully so, because the world does hate him, and he's seen as this monster, and especially in the scene where the photograph's taken of him while he's smashing these people's heads in. But from we're watching it and going, we're on his side because we see,
It seems in the very beginning of the movie that it's, hey, the mob builds mainly because of what he looks like, but he tries not to. He seems to want to keep a low profile.
Yep.
Hey, he's not the typical monster that everyone says he is. Like he likes movies. he has all these mundane likes. If people would just willing to accept him, he
He's
wouldn't
just like
really be
you,
a monster.
you know? Yeah.
But then throughout the movie, you do see, because I think of his, his view of the world sometimes becomes surreal. I think it blends, and he doesn't care as much about killing people. So like that line blends of like he is also the monster. He's not this innocent
sure.
baby angel. He is a killer. He's willing to kill. And
You see it come out in these moments, but it's justified killings though. It's not that, at least the one we see in the movie, because he says to, as soon as that killing happens and then he's running away, he says to the bride, hey, stay back, leave. This has happened to me before. It's going to get ugly. So he's used to this. There's been this is hundreds of years in. Frankenstein, this isn't, you're just out of the bottle, just created Frankenstein. This is someone who has had to live as a monster this long. And at the very least, it's coherent enough to go, hey, I understand the loneliness and isolation Frankenstein feels. And finally, looking at, you understand why he lies to Ida, to Penelope / the bride, because he'll do anything to be with somebody that he feels this companionship for the first time ever. And so there's that. It's an interesting, conflicting thing with his character of going, oh, how much is he going to lie to this person and how wrong that is, but also you understand and empathize with him. And yeah, so done competently there. But then we come to the bride's character. How do you think it was handled with her juxtaposition between flashy, the author speaking into her, but then also her past, which is murky, and we find out a little bit more about, versus her, who Frankenstein lies about her to be. So she's got like 3 personalities, I think, if you could categorize them.
Somewhat, but I think it's fair to say like there's 2. It's who she used to be, or no, you're 3. It's the new one. Yeah, you're right. It's her trying to perform the personality that Frankenstein tells her that she used to be.
Yeah.
And then there's the old personality, and then Mary Shelley. There's one key aspect to it, especially with the end of Mary Shelley and the bride basically talking like, I have this rage inside of me, and I am on this revenge tour. She talks about revenge, rage, anger, all this stuff. I ultimately don't see any of that in her character. Because she forgot she was killed by the mob, it's not really relevant till the end. She's angry when she's in a crowd and just like, talking down to people like, that some, mystical powers of like, that person killed someone. That one hit his wife, and that guy did XYZ. Like, so she's accusatory, but the rage and anger doesn't.
It comes out the most when she sees something where it's men being men, and oppressing women. For example, in the movie theater scene where the guy's making out with this girl who's saying no, stop it, we're at the movie theater, and that's where she gets this moment of starts flashing out. It seems like her anger and rage comes any time that men are doing bad things. Which, back to the theme thing, it's just, hey, it's a one note thing of men being bad. This is where the author then comes in to speak of what she really wanted to say with Frankenstein of push back against.
Maybe this is the message. Maybe this is part of it, because the doctor's like, hey, revenge is it's a folly's game. Like, it's not a good way to lead your life.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that is kind of the message of like, hey, feminists, like, take the extreme example of look at examples, look at the news of all like men did terrible things to women, and ultimate message is like, still, you can hate those men that do terrible things, but you can also still love a man. Like, you don't have to blame all men for individuals' ills. And this is a true message, same vice versa. Hello, internet, like, incels. Like, hello. You can be critical of like, I don't like when women do XYZ. That doesn't mean you have to hate all women. You could still fall in love. Maybe that's kind of the message.
That would be. I think there's that version.
Take something out of there.
That's the version of the movie I would have really liked. That, yeah,
because she is rageful at men doing bad things, but she still falls in love with Frankenstein at the end.
It's
Is
interesting because
that it?
I like the way you're putting that. I don't think the movie shows that as well enough that you're making the movie better.
Good.
You are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Because I think maybe the movie is attempting to go that direction, but again, she doesn't lean into the Bride of, because what you're saying is she would then be the Bride of Frankenstein. Right?
Yeah.
Well, I guess because she's still her own woman, but that's where it gets murkier, because then it's,
I think it would have been better if it was just more framed of it's her choice rather than like, I know she wants, it's, hey, I want to be my own woman. I get that, but
take it
then
this
pick
way.
a different name, not the bride, like just the bride.
Maybe it could be
Weird.
a 1-to-1 of, in society, of the Bride of Frankenstein. It's when you get married, typically take the last name of the husband.
Yeah.
And so it's in that way going, hey, they're together. However, she's not going to take the last name. Kind of saying that, which that's where it gets murky, because she's also not fully accepting that. She's also not full committing in the way, but also is kind of that's where it gets confused to me. Of
Yeah.
that. So, but I like how you're putting it. That's an
Yeah.
interesting way to show, hey, look at all these bad examples, and then, but again, I'm confused. It's muddied at the end there.
But it makes her character very confusing to understand, especially all the Mary
with the three
Shelley
personalities.
parts.
Yeah.
So this is an aspect that plays well visually, and it's very fun. And Jessie Buckley, fantastic actress. So she's playing this
phenomenal,
incredibly well. But how much does the Mary Shelley personality actually add to the movie?
It just adds the rage moments of when something bad's happening in front of her.
Yeah, it adds the crazy, but as far as like justifying, hey, fourth wall break, Mary Shelley's character, I don't know if it actually adds much to the movie, and it's kind of confusing and makes her character very hard to understand, really. I feel like there's something off with that decision narratively.
Also, it's interesting how, so she was possessed in a way. I guess she was possessed, then died, then revived. So just so happened to be the person that was possessed was revived. It wasn't that she was revived and then the author decided to possess this person. So there was she was possessed while she was still not a revived Frankenstein-like monster. As well.
Yeah.
So
it was explained as she was dying inside anyway, and that crack is what allowed her to come in.
Right. And okay, here's something about her character that this is where it gets more into the flawed. I'm just going, what else is there? Is her past. Her past is so much of just a filament. It's such a tacked yeah.
That's exactly it. And
Yeah.
one of the bigger problems is her past doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's
all.
It's very much just extremely I don't even want to say underwritten, just filament. Just it feels very tacked on.
There is a whole plot line here of everything with the mob is added on there, and it ultimately doesn't mean anything. You can almost cut it out of the entire story. And the thing is, nothing's really done with it, and it's supposed to be the source of her rage. She was killed by the mob. She was silenced. She was going after the mob because the main mob boss was killing all these women. All right, that's the source of the rage. I was unjustly killed. I was betrayed. Like all these things. Like there's a juicy background there. Great.
Especially the detective that's chasing her and that failed her and didn't follow through.
Not just failed her. He's a villain. I know at the end credit scene, he's like, oh, he's helping these other women that take down the mob. Great, I guess. But he also, slept with Jessie Buckley's character under the pretense of like, I fell in love and told her that I'm reopening the case. I'm going to keep the case open. But actually, he was on the mob's take the entire time. That is a real dick thing to do. That's pretty awful. That's a pretty awful thing to do. I don't like him. Villain character. Is he a mopey villain character? Sure, but villain.
Well, I really dislike the side characters in this. I think that the two detectives were very stale. You had their you could see some of the rapport was attempting to build with him talking to the cops, being all locker room talk, with the guys, so he could fit in and get the more information to help the gal out. And they were just also saying the same thing that the Frankenstein and Bride story was also saying. And so it didn't really add much to the movie. And then when it could have added something of adding that background and attention with Ida, it's very flat, because by the end, when he makes the decision to give up the detective's badge to the lady detective as well, we didn't spend enough. There wasn't enough time spent to, one, feel that impact of the scene, but also too much time was spent that it felt like a waste of time for the scene.
Also, plot thing. He quits.
Do you want to go on the plot? Anything
else with the characters? Yeah, well, I'll mention this with the detectives.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know her name, but again, she's a very forgettable character. Like, there's a seed of something. Okay, she's in the background. Like, I think what this movie should have done, or it gave a seed of it, but didn't actually commit to the growth and the actual character growth, is she is actually the smart one. She's the real detective, and she's hiding behind the scenes. She's basically pretending to be the secretary, but she's actually the detective. But in the beginning, like, the actual story that should be said is she's behind the scenes, she's smart, and ultimately she is, like, things go wrong because she's not willing to actually be vocal. She wants to stay behind the scenes. She's too afraid to, take front and center stage. And she is certainly capable of it. That would be the arc. That would be the journey for her of, like, oh, I'm going to move away from this fake secretary role and become the detective I know I should be, and take the authority. We don't get that in this movie. It's just she's called the secretary, but she's still got all the sass. She's going around. She's doing all the things, and she's doing everything right. And then she becomes a detective, and she's doing the same thing. There's not much of a change other than title, but she didn't learn anything.
And for some reason, that's the one time where she tells all the cops to leave the room and go back because she has the detective's badge. Suddenly, all the men turn into respecting woman characters of, okay, she's got the badge, now we're all going to leave and listen to the detective.
Yeah.
Which it just takes a bit of the personalities and leaning into the caricatures of what men are in this world. But then if you take that, what the movie's already set up, and that final scene happens, what should happen is they go, yeah, you might be a detective even higher than this, but I'm still not listening to you.
Yeah.
It's just what the movie set up of these caricatures. Because, hey, like,
I will say, on a practical level of that scene in particular, all the cops in uniform are going, like, and then they see this woman dressed in civilian-looking clothes that none of them have seen before, and they're like, all right, I'm taking control of this whole situation, and then they go, wait, why are we taking orders from you? You just look like random woman. And then that's not sexist. Like, that point, I feel like the movie's trying to
say that's sexist. Yeah.
But ultimately, like, she didn't tell them she's a detective. Like, they don't know. Are they supposed to just believe any random woman that's on the scene? It is odd. Obviously, you're supposed to be here, woman. No.
Well, the movie's implying that the men couldn't even imagine that a woman could be a detective or have a badge. Like, it's trying to say that in the scene, but how the scene comes across is, take the cops' point of view, just going like, we just committed the most egregious murder of the past millennia. And we shot how many bullets into the bride, right? And then this, just stumbles into there. Hey,
stop!
Hey,
go outside. Do the like. Who are you, lady? Why are we taking orders from you? No. What is this? What happened? And it's like, yeah. So, that's just a little plot thing. Like all that could be solved is like she has the badge. She
has it out beforehand, right?
has it in her hand as she's telling everyone to stop.
But it can't do that because the movie needs to make the point that the men are can't imagine a woman being in this position of power.
But that would make the message, because then she would show her badge, like, "Hey, everyone, stop! This is a crime." Blah 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 blah. And they're like, "Who are you? Whose badge is that, sweetheart?" Like, you couldn't make it. You could
Still
do
work.
that.
Yeah.
Just make it make sense.
Make it make sense.
That's all.
Plot, Sensor. Yours for plot. What'd you give it?
1.75.
2.
Yeah.
Flawed for me. Very flawed for you.
Very flawed. Mainly the second half.
Yeah, mainly the second half.
Second half.
The first half teed off something.
Yeah. Definitely fun, just the exploration of their characters kind of going off together. But yeah, as they're going along, their Bonnie and Clyde journey, and then the mob is on them, it basically the detective story ramps up and takes more screen time. And that's the stuff I'm like, it's dumb. It's really dumb. Like their entire plot line is really dumb.
I really thought it could have went a fun direction at first, because when they were hunting down Frankenstein and the bride, and after the movie theater scene where they're running out and the mob's chasing them, and the guy says to the gal, like, "Oh, I think we go that way." It seemed like they might have had a fun comedy that could have been this. I think this movie could have weirdly used the comedy aspect more, of having them be the funny side of the story, of they're the ones that they are the audience shoe-in of seeing how ridiculous and zany this all is. Which for a moment it almost felt like it was going that direction, but then it took their subplot very seriously, of like emphasizing the message that's already being told with Frankenstein and the bride. But how fun would that have been if throughout this chase scene they're us. They're us looking at this craziness, because look how this is nuts. This movie's nuts in many ways. But so we have A plots, B plots. We got the main plot is Frankenstein and the bride, them on the run, and then the subplots there are one of them the mob. Second one is the cops being after them because they're on the run. And then the third one is the Shelley possessing her in the first place. So you have all these kind of directing toward who the Bride and Frankenstein are. What do you think when the movie started? What did it promise to you, and why did it kind of veer at that halfway point? What happened there that made you like the second half a lot less?
Well, I thought there was going to be. I think it promised us a lot more with the mob story.
Yeah.
Of, all right, she was killed basically by the mob, and now she's coming back as a monster. Is there going to be more revenge?
Ooh, yeah.
Like, okay, and then on top of that, she is being lied to so she was killed by the mob. She's brought back against her will, and Frankenstein and the doctor are lying to her about who she is. So it's about a journey of revenge and self-discovery. We kind of get a journey of self-discovery, I guess. Like, on the surface, she says, like we already talked about, like, "Oh, I am the bride, not anyone's bride. I am the bride." Okay. Revenge? Not really. We don't get anything with that. Again, maybe the message could be, let go of revenge, choose love instead. Maybe that's the message. But yeah.
So with the subplot of the mobster stuff, and we see the big bad, the guy's cutting all the tongues out, shoots the one mobster, has the other go chase them in that scene. That doesn't go anywhere really satisfying or just interesting, because hey, he gets captured in the end by the cops afterwards. And
no, not even by the cops, vigilantes. All the women it's like the women.
No, I mean the guy that shot the sub monster guy, not the big boss, but the mini mobster that's going to chase them, gets taken by the cops afterwards. Yeah, then the vigilante in the post credits, or post end of the movie, we see that. So what that whole sequence with the mobsters, I guess what could have been done to improve that subplot?
You add more of the bride having flashbacks of like gaining her memories back,
Mhm.
and then put in conflict of her choices of like, I want to go get revenge. Like put that in front of her in some vein or fashion. Like put her against the mob. It's
Mhm.
what she wanted to do when she was alive. Now it's just at some point it is just meandering for her.
And she, in the same way, she cuts the tongue out of that one cop who assaults her,
Yeah.
and doing what the mob has done to women
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. It's just not enough.
I didn't like with the plot. I didn't like how predictable some of it got with the assaults too. Where as soon as the cops pull them over,
Yeah.
you know it's about to turn into an abusive cop situation where they're gonna have to get out of this in some dire way, just because of how much of a how predictable and how much of caricatures that the story was becoming. So I'm trying to think of any significant the maybe the biggest plot change was the dance sequence of, oh, this movie's going more zany, but after they escape that, and then we get the more emotional subplot between the detective and Ida and her previous personality. That doesn't go anywhere interesting. It's her whole backstory and background doesn't really make the current bride or the current plot move in a, like, there was no amazing revelation, because as soon as that is revealed, Frankenstein's talking to her going, "Oh, is that a past lover?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
You brought her back from the dead.
Like, what, why are you surprised?
Yeah.
Right? Like, she didn't have a life before you? Like, you're lying to her this whole time. Why is he so
Well,
oblivious?
he's a monster and like his version of reality is warped. Of which I think what this movie really could have done better of like actually using the human characters is we already see Frankenstein's reality is a little warped and it's
Mhm.
not we what we see is not really reality fully. I think it
Mhm.
would have been beneficial if the bride also had that and tie it to Mary Shelley of she is seeing certain things, she believes maybe it would be interesting if both her and Frankenstein kill some people, like do more things, and they think it was more righteous and more on like it was justified to them. And then we get the human perspective and going like it's completely different. The massacre is like larger than what we got to see with the monsters. The level of killing, the brutality is way worse. Something like then there's a value to the human view of like, okay, here's the audience view of like, here's what's actually happening. Here's the monster's view of it.
Yeah.
Then it would make some degrees, it would help, I think.
It would help a lot. Yeah.
But with Frankenstein being the only surreal looking character, the bride being, yeah, forgetful and like kind of crazy, but lucid in the moment. Like what we see is what's happening with her.
Mhm.
So I would have preferred a bit more zany on their
Yeah.
front to actually justify the humans' characters and the humans' point of view.
Right. Yeah, and it could have used the following and the actual chases going from movie theater to movie theater. I guess that wasn't it made sense. It just wasn't the most interesting
Yeah.
way to follow the characters. I guess it's just a way to know where Frankenstein and the Bride were
Yeah.
going.
Well,
Other than that,
also
it was
at like the ninth and 10th movie theater thing of like only Miss Lady Detective
yeah,
figured this out. Really? No one else could figure out this pattern?
all caricatures, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that's the plot aspect of like, all right, fine.
In the same way of really they escaped this situation with 100 guns pointed at them. Really, they escaped this one too. Of, you just kind of have to believe, I guess, movie magic.
Yeah.
None of it's done in a really interesting way
Mm-hmm.
to get out of them. But all right, anything else for plot?
Nah.
Filmmaking, I gave it a 3.75. Really good.
Yeah, I gave it a 4.0.
Nice.
I thought it was great. I think it looked great. I'm factoring in the acting here. I think Jessie Buckley did an amazing job.
The acting goes in the next category.
Oh. Readjusting the score.
Filmmaking,
here.
like, editing and sound and visuals, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, so what did you think? What would you like a lot?
Well, I mean, okay, I liked the look of the movie, the colors, the shots, everything like that was great. I particularly loved every surreal Frankenstein moment.
Yeah, every surreal Frankenstein.
That was my favorite moments of the whole movie. Like the dance, fantastic. I liked that dance a lot. It was creepy, but also very fun. It balanced zany and serious very well because it added tension to the whole scene. It wasn't just superfluous. I liked the weird possession thing that was going on. I didn't know if the possession was real. Like everyone dancing seems like it actually was happening. And I'm like, what's this? It's weird. I like that.
Yeah, that was very fun. I love the lighting when we went back to Jessie Buckley when she was when she was playing author rather than character. I really liked that stylistic choice of her in the gray shadows, face barely visible, speaking as if she was telling some kind of horror story, but it was this love story. That was a cool stylistic touch. You also have the really gruesome scenes that when killing the attackers and when Frankenstein was defending the bride, really gruesome scenes that got me to squirm in my seat a bit. So they did the effects extremely well, and they also had a good costume design. I like the way they had the bride look with her hair and the makeup stylist of the ink or the blood on her on one side of her cheek. It would be her right side of cheek, and so. That was neat. You get the Joker aspects of that, of everybody using the same symbol and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was left definitely thinking, very cool visual style and well done.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think visually speaking, it's a good movie. And costumes, all that stuff. So I readjust here, 3.5.
Good.
Filmmaking it's good.
Awesome. Then what did you give dialogue and acting?
3.75.
Nice. I give it a 4. Great. The performance is phenomenal.
That's the thing. I would have given this a lot higher, but it's mixed with, if it was just acting, much higher. But dialogue.
What were they saying? Yeah.
I think most of it is fine. It's fine to good. But then I was thinking about all of the Mary Shelley lines. Basically, when Mary Shelley is possessing Jessie Buckley's character, the bride, it's fast. It's using a lot of words, some even big words, and references. But is it saying anything of substance? Is it creative dialogue? No, it's fast dialogue. Big words. Someone picked up a thesaurus. Someone knows their literary references, but it was normally not even related to the scene in the moment. It was just saying words very fast. So I feel like that was like trickery of good dialogue. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. What did you think of any of the other performances outside of Jessie Buckley?
I mean, hey, Christian Bale did a great job.
Yeah.
I don't know if I fully believed him being 100 years old. He still seemed young, but no, I liked his performance a lot though. All the little creak, groan movements, him trying to dance, and it feels like the cracking of his bones. It was cool. So he did a great job. I think the doctor did a good job too. Of the crazy zany doctor was pretty well established. Other than that, no one else did a mention worthy job. Yeah,
if anything, the dialogue with some of the go back to the detectives, just corny dialogue, didn't hit a lot, but then you have the great performances that made it more compelling and
Yeah.
interesting to watch. Yeah, Jessie Buckley really does carry the soul of the movie a bit, of making it. Her performance elevates the scenes that otherwise would have been very bad, and she elevates them into, okay, this is where I'm going. It's almost tricking me into liking the movie. She's so good at that.
Any scene that maybe doesn't make as much sense, but then it's just Jessie Buckley acting her ass off, and I'm like, this may not make sense, but it's damn impressive. Like,
Yeah.
I'm zoned in. I'm locked in with her performance.
Too bad she's a woman. See you next episode.